Thank you for coming, and welcome to the 112th Rheinland Pitch. I'm super excited that this is the first Web3 edition. And also because it's an international topic and we have international participants, we will be speaking English tonight. So 2 exciting topics that are new for the Rheinland Pitch. But let's start like I always start and just have a show of hands. Who here knows the Rheinland Pitch already or have been to one already? Oh, wow, cool. So that's about, 20% of repeat offenders, and we have about 80% of people who probably don't know the Rheinland Pitch that well or not at all. So before we kick this off with 4 exciting Web3 startups for you tonight, let me just talk very briefly about where the Rheinland Pitch is coming from and where we're heading. So the Rheinland Pitch was started almost now 10 years ago to the month. In a couple of months, we'll be 10 years old in this room. Me, myself, and Lawrence Grave and Matthias Grave from Startplatz. We were sitting here, we were chatting about what's going to happen here. There's the Startplatz thing is going to open, and what do we think about the scene here? Well, there's a lot of great founders. Really are. They have some great ideas and they're good at executing. But every time we hear them trying to explain what they're doing, we go like, what? So that's obviously bad, because how are you going to convince customers, how are you going to convince international tier 1 investors if nobody understands what you're doing, if you're unable to pitch the best investors? So we thought about 2 seconds about what we could do about that. So Lawrence and Matthias, they said, well, we're going to open up here soon, we're going to have a stage, and we can invite some people, we can invite startups, and then you, Vidar, you're a founder yourself, so why don't you maybe try to help them? You've got a lot of help for your mentors in Silicon Valley, you pitch an investor all around the world, so why don't you help them get sort of the feel for the American style investor pitches? Okay, so we did it. 1 month later, full house, just almost like today. There were 3 startups pitching, and since then, it's just been an amazing journey. And now, today, for now, I guess a couple of years, it's probably the largest startup pitching event in Europe. It's definitely the largest and longest running in Germany. So thank you very much for taking your time and coming here physically and watching. We are also streaming on YouTube for the people at home. Hello, thank you for tuning in. And of course, it wouldn't have been possible to do the Rheinland Pitch now for 10 years for free for startups if we didn't have some amazing partners. So I want to give a warm thank you to VSS Redpoint, the boutique attorney for startups, HDI, the Chamber of Commerce in Düsseldorf, the TK Insurance, CMS Law Tax Future, and OVH Cloud, their startup program. They're all being great supporters that enables us to provide this now for 10 years for free to startups. Well, thank you very much for our great sponsors. Give a little bit of applause. So, I mentioned already, we're going to see 4 startups tonight. We have 4 pre-selected excellent startups for you tonight. And they're going to be pitching for 7 minutes sharp. We are very rude about timing. So we got 7 minutes, which is plenty. We already talked with some of the startups today that Y Combinator, like the best accelerator out of Silicon Valley, they offer you 2.5 minutes. So 7 minutes should be plenty to tell all the nice things about your startups. So after that 7 minutes, we're going to take 7 minutes opening up for questions and answers from you. That's also something that's very special with the Rheinland Pitch. You also decide tonight what you think was the best pitch. And how you decide that, I'm going to get back to it after we've seen all the 4 pitches. I will give you a magic link where you can go in and score the different pitches after we've seen the 4. So prepare your nastiest, most interesting, deep questions for your startups, because you're going to have 7 minutes really putting their feet over the coals. So now, before we start, we also have someone from NMA Hub Battle. We have Nils here, who's going to tell you a little bit about an upcoming event and then we're going to kick it directly off with the pitches. Yes.
So, wer weiß denn hier, was das Hub Battle ist? Ja, verhalten, gut, dass ich hier bin, sag ich mal. Ja, das Hub Battle, ja, kurze Frage, Battle heißt auf Deutsch Kampf. So, ja, und es heißt nicht Hub Pitch, sondern es heißt Hub Battle, weil es in ganz NRW, in den größten Städten, darum geht, wer wen in den Kampf schickt. Und die Frage ist, nachdem Köln letztes Jahr das Hub Battle gewonnen hat und damit Max Academy vom Startplatz, da drüben ansässig, zum besten Startup NRWs 2022 gekürt wurde. Wer wird das beste Startup NRWs 2023? Und wir dürfen es dieses Jahr ausrichten. Da drüben sieht man sogar den Cinedome, ja, eigentlich für theatralisch, schauspielerisch große Events gemacht, wie zum Beispiel dieses Jahr auch das NRW Hub Battle. In einem Kinosaal wird das Ganze stattfinden und das beste Startup NRWs 2023 wird gewählt und es geht um das Thema Titelverteidigung am 29.03.2023. Ja, die Tickets sind heiß, Leute. Ja, ich sag mal, Rheinland Pitch ist natürlich sehr beliebt, aber die Tickets sind extrem heiß. Es sind nicht mehr so viele da, habe ich gehört, kann das sein? Oh, also Leute, wenn ihr jetzt noch Tickets haben wollt, dann müsst ihr euch beeilen. 29.03. das NRW Hub Battle. Die Frage ist, wer wird das beste Startup NRWs 2023 und verteidigt Köln den Titel? Und ich sage jetzt schon mal, Köln! Ja. Leute, das muss aber im Kinosaal ein bisschen anders sein. Köln! Ja. So, und viel Spaß heute noch.
I have to go to the gym now.
Thank you. Thank you. Great energy. So hope to see you at the Hub Battle on the 29th of March this year. This Cologne is defending the championship. Now, as I promised, let's kick it off with the startups. We have 4 excellent startups that have been pre-selected, and we are kicking it off with Rudy Capital. Right for your Rudy Capital.
Perfect. Nice to be here today. I'm Philip. I'm one of the co-founders of Rudy Capital. And that's me, by the way. And what we are doing is that we are building the infrastructure for the future of finance. And I mean, that's a big word, but what are we doing? Actually, we are building DeFi risk monitoring and performance tracking. And what I actually, maybe I can have a small indication of hands who has or is using DeFi at the moment. So who's using DeFi as an investment strategy? So a few of you. So to kick it off, what are actually the problems when it comes to effective DeFi performance tracking and risk monitoring? So first of all, the calculation of relevant performance and risk metrics is strategy and protocol specific. So regarding on this strategy and the protocol, it depends, and you also require in-depth knowledge to do so. Secondly, it's really complex to track and monitor DeFi strategies that involve multiple blockchains, multiple protocols, and also centralized exchanges. And last but not least, so maybe you know it from yourself, when tracking DeFi investments manually, it's really prone to error. It's a lot of manual work, and it always lags behind. So you never have like a real-time picture of your investments. So what we are building and have built in the past is a performance tracking risk monitoring platform for DeFi investments. And this is ranging from really simple DeFi strategies to really multi-step and complex DeFi strategies. So what does this involve? So first of all, of course, performance tracking. So how much APY or APR are actually long-term doing? This, for example, the net APR, the gross APR, the short capital ratio. Then we are performing risk monitoring. For example, if you're hedging your strategies, for example, using a centralized exchange, you can see when the margin call is kicking in, for example. And last but not least, you know, DeFi is 24/7. So even when we sleep, something can go southwards. So we have built an alerting system which is notifying you on Slack, SMS, per phone when certain kinds of thresholds are hit, and then you can react So of course we did our market validation, and I don't want to bore you out with all the metrics here. I would guess the most important metric is here on the right-hand side. So only 4% of all DeFi investors do not face any challenges when investing in DeFi. And this is a big market potential. It's still a blue ocean. Of course, there are firms getting ready, but we think that we have the most promising and comprehensive software out there. So who are actually our customers? So we are actually targeting any kind of users who is actually investing to DeFi. This is ranging from tech-savvy, crypto-savvy family offices to DAOs, to also degens, digital asset banks, digital asset gateways, because all of these stakeholders need an efficient way of tracking their DeFi investments and also monitoring the risks. So we are not just another performance tracker. As a DeFi user yourself, you might know APY Vision, DBank, and Cointing, but we believe, as I said before, that we have the most comprehensive software out there. So of course, any of our competitor can give you a position value snapshot, at least for the on-chain strategy. So just imagine having your hedge running on a centralized exchange. Then these competitors are not able to show you how your position is going. And what we are also offering is an integrated view of strategies across blockchains, protocols, and as I said before, centralized exchanges. So we have built APIs to any major crypto exchange out there. We have historic strategy, performance, and risk data, which is really important for you when it comes to a year end, how much yield you actually generated. We have a composable dashboard because it depends on the investor what kind of metrics are actually important for you. We have custom price feeds, also really important that you don't mix up any price feeds, that you have accurate data in your dashboard. And also, and I would say most important is the real-time performance data, that you can enter our dashboard and see how much money I'm actually doing right now. So we offer exact performance tracking, risk monitoring for all levels of complexity. That means we have a customizable dashboard. We are available on web and as an app. We provide real-time data. We have, of course, a Web3 wallet integration that you can easily load your positions onto our software. We have a centralized exchange API integration. This is ranging from Kraken, this is Binance. We also have FTX, by the way. And you also can create tailored alerts. So when you're asleep, our software is telling you when you have to actually interact with the positions. This is our team. We actually all have started in academics. So I'm a lecturer myself at the Frankfurt Blockchain Center. I've worked there for many years. I've been heading the Frankfurt Blockchain Center, for example, as well. My co-founder Thomas, Christian Vierhoff, and you might have heard of Philipp Sandner. He's one of the leading voices when it's about blockchain in this space. We have Peter Hoffmann, he's country manager from Coinbase, and also Marie Spindler, he's board member of the Blockchain Founders Group and Blockchain Accelerator here in Germany. So if you have questions, you can ask them now or later on, and thank you very much.
Hey, ladies and gentlemen. Who want to go first? Yes.
Can I just say out loud? Yeah, hi, my name is Cosmo. So you're offering risk metrics, but mostly based on centralized exchanges?
So yes, so right now we are really focused on market neutral investing. That means hedging, for example, price risk and all technological risks. That means we are really offering right now as a first step, really integration of centralized exchanges to keep your hedges in view.
But given the recent FTX disaster, are there also any risk metrics that take into account the positioning of the exchanges themselves and how risk averse they are?
Not yet, no.
Further questions? We've got plenty of time. Yes.
How many users do you have currently?
So right now we have 2 pilot customers, so we are still in alpha here. These are 2 hedge funds from Switzerland, for example, and we try to then make the beta testing in summer. Okay. But it's a fully functional MVP right now. Yes.
What is your view of the major risks for your company? Like, what is the major risk?
I mean, DeFi itself is a very, experimental market still. So we are heavily relying actually that the market is growing I mean, we have seen a major setback the last months, I mean, with FTX and with UST Terra. And what we feel that is right now there's a really bad sentiment in the market. Although actually FTX wasn't about DeFi and about blockchain at all, because it was a heavily centralized system. That's always really important to emphasize actually. So what we need is further influx of institutions and also retail customers entering the market. Of course, then appreciating Bitcoin price as well, because there's a high correlation when we talk about the price of the Bitcoin and actually user adoption, bringing new people inside the ecosystem. And of course, regulation is also really important. So we will see how the US is reacting after the whole FTX dilemma, I would call it. And as well as Europe is reacting, for example, topic on host wallets and so on. So I would say these are the three major risks we are facing right now.
Got another question. You mentioned hedging and alerting. Is there also a way of setting up events that are executed automatically, like trailing stop loss orders, something like this?
Yes, so the next feature we will integrate in a few weeks is an automatic rehedge.
Yeah.
So there will be a button in our dashboard, because rehedging actually is pretty intense work. So you have to open your centralized exchange. For example, you have to open Uniswap as well. You have to see if the net exposure is at about 0. You have to open several tabs on Chrome, for example, and we will enable the user to just with a press of a button to rehedge his or her positions.
So right now only alerting, action, plan.
Right.
Okay.
Are you still thinking about the questions, or are you afraid to just put up your hand? I'm pretty sure there's a question or two. Yeah.
What's your security strategy for securing the customer wallet?
So we aren't securing the customer wallet. So customers only integrate their MetaMask wallet, for example, on our dashboard. So we aren't doing anything which is about custody. So the customer is dealing with the custody. So we aren't handling any customer funds at all. So we really a system for only checking your positions, but without managing money of our clients. So we aren't like giving strategies out. So we just letting our customers to check their strategies they already selected in the past.
So you showed us your opponents, but what is your key USP? So what is your solution? What can your solution do? What the others can't do, and what provides them not to copy it?
Our USP at Really Capital is that we're really DeFi native. So we are really close to the ecosystem. We know what protocols are hot at the moment, are really quick in implementing them. We are able of reading all the smart contracts, all the APIs, and also the integration of centralized exchanges. So of course, I mean, all these, for at least for Vision and DBank, these are decentralized solutions. So for them, it's rather unprobable, I would say, that they're integrating centralized exchanges. And also, as we are a centralized company in a decentralized world, we can really give customers and clients, for example, hedge funds, consulting. We have advisory services, for example, and support, which the others aren't able to do.
We've got time for a question or two.
I've got one question. How many different assets are currently monitored by your two customers so far? So blockchain-based assets.
Yeah. So we are active on EVM chains currently. So the Ethereum-based chains. The protocols mostly used right now is Uniswap, which we integrated. For example, GMX. If you don't know GMX, you should all check it out. It's a derivative exchange, really interesting, also heavily used. Then, for example, Gearbox and also Curve.
No further questions? First time? Second time? Third time? Okay, let's give it up. Thank you. That was Rudy Capital. And next one we have Iota Origin. A big hand, please.
Hi everyone, I'm Julian Wikalinski. I'm the CEO of Iota Origin, and I will present you our venture today. So, our vision is to be the largest importer of conflict-free and critical minerals without ever owning any kind of these minerals. In this regard, what are the pain points in the market? Right now, we are into the energy transition. This means that renewable energies have 200 to 300% higher material intensity than fossil fuels. And to give you an idea, we have to source in the next 20 years as much copper as we did in all of our mankind. So in this regard, industrial mines cannot offset this supply, so we need new sources, and there are new sources. It's small-scale mining. Small-scale mining already producing 20% of all commodities, but they are very informal, and it's about getting them into the supply chains in a responsible way to get the energy transition done. In this regard, they are highly regulated through US and European laws, like the supply chain laws or the conflict mineral laws, and therefore we have some kind of solutions. We have a tracing mobile application to trace these commodities. It's more or less working like the CO2 emission trading in the European Union. So based on the forecast of the production, the mines can trade their minerals, and we can trace them, and we can trace also the documents which are needed for the due diligence in this regard. And also we establish the possibility to invest into this market and use the tracing system as oracle for investors, so they have kind of an overview what is happening on the ground. The second solution is that we are building up DeFi's first commodity exchange. In this regard, we have implemented kind of a D2D system, which is called a DAO to dominate. We are using POL, which is product pound liquidity. In this regard, we are giving the people the chance to give their tokenized commodities into our treasury for our native token, so we can bootstrap our treasury and build up on this collateral financial NFTs like bonds or future contracts or options. And therefore we need also liquidity in the NFT market. In this regard, right now it's very hard to trade NFTs. It's easy to buy, but hard to sell. So, but you want to get also the exit possibility out of the NFT. So we established kind of NFT pools to provide liquidity into the space. In this regard, users can swap their NFTs directly into a pool and get their tokens out of it. And we also make it possible to be a market maker. And we incentivize these market makers in form of NFT liquidity mining, which is also be done in the normal pooling. In this regard, it's like a new ES standard which we are using. It's called NFTs for now, but really these are SFTs. They are semi-fungible tokens. It's possible to fractionalize them, and in this way we can better mimic what is going on the financial product side. And you can trade it like in an NFT automated market maker. So with these solutions, we can fit the market demand. This means that we can bring the consumers conflict-free products and sustainable and responsible source products. The producers have low procurement costs and safe supply. The mines now have access to the international markets and also access to international investment. And the investors have the possibility to invest in these markets regarding ESG and impact investment, also regarding the rising commodity markets. So how big is the market? It's like 100 billion worldwide. Over 100,000 small-scale mines are outside, in the world, and over 150 million people are dependent on it. Which is kind of interesting also is that the small-scale mining market, like every kilogram produced from small-scale mines is 600 times more CO2 efficient than from industrial mines. And also every dollar invested into this sector is producing 9 times more jobs than industrial mines. So it's very important to get them on board. How are our income streams? Like we did some learnings. We have been in DRC, we talked to the governments and to the mines, and you can't take any fees for the tracing. So if you implement kind of tracing fees, the supply chain is offsetting it to the mines and they are going into the smuggling. So we stopped to evolve this kind of licensing fee system because it's not working. So what we are doing is we use the tracing as a lock-in effect, so it should also scale fast. So the mines are coming to us for the tracing, we establish the tracing, and then we can make money or make services based on the commodities or the investments in the sector. So we have kind of from DAO the possibility of lending and borrowing against the commodities in these NFTs we have, and also kind of a fee for the volume traded in the NFT pools. So why you should work with us? After all, why you should work with us? We have over 20 years of software engineering experience. We have a bright network in emerging markets, and we are bringing two things to mega trends on chain. This is commodity sourcing, critical commodity sourcing, and also real-world assets on chain. So we are right now working with the UN, we are working with the GITS, we are financed by the Ministry of Energy and Climate Protection from Germany. We had several incubation programs from our university, from Startplatz, from Web3 projects. We are working with several NGOs on the ground, with several mines, refiners, and also importers. And this is kind of the scope what we are doing right now. So I will just skip the team for a second because I have no time. This is like kind of how the Democratic Republic, or how the eastern of the Democratic Republic of Congo, you can see all the mines on the east, and just to get the scope. This is like how big it is. So it's very important that we
All right, you guys know the drill already. 7 minutes of questions for you. Go.
Which one of the groups you presented is your main customer groups, the mines, the consumers, or the producers?
It's kind of hard because we talk to importers first, like from Germany, or the biggest importer of copper, and they tell you like, oh no, we are not sourcing from there. So there are 2 points, like could be that they are lying or they don't have a clue, because like DRC is producing right now 5% of all the copper, and it's double, like it's 10 and it's going around 50. So it seems like right now nobody wants to talk about it, and not all laws are in place right now, so they tried to wait for it. But I think it will be more important to work directly with the mines. So who has access to the mines, who has access to the future commodities? And it's not about companies, but about states. Like, is it China, is it the US, or is it Europe? So we are going directly to the mines, because right now what you see is kind of, they are pushing all these small-scale minings against each other, and we try to get them together and then deal for them with the bigger ones. So this is what we started to do, but the small-scale mines are not paying good right now, like, because it's hard for them to include any kind of regulation. So what we are right now doing is we are setting up with the NFT pools, and we are trading normal profile picture NFT to get some liquidity to offset the rest, and then going into financial NFTs. So this is what we are working on right now.
So if I may, I guess, so if you get the mines of customers, it's easier for you to get also producers, and you need the consumers for cash flow and monetization.
Yes.
Thank you.
Something that I might not have captured is in Europe we will soon have a new law about supply chains, that you really have to make sure if you buy something as a producer that there's no that children are working in it, and that everything is key in the production process. So if I would be buying from a platform, can you guarantee in terms of certification that everything is going clean?
Yes, so this is the supply chain law you're mentioning, and it's based on the conflict minerals law, and conflict minerals law is already in place. So it's kind of more or less the same. And we are working with NGOs on the ground, with the states on the ground, so they can put in due diligence information directly into our system. We are hashing it so it's immutable through the blockchain, and then we can give it to the importer in the end to fulfill regulation. Also, you have to have in place kind of a whistleblower system. So if everything or anything is corrupted in the system, somebody can push this into information also into the blockchain. And what we will try to do later on is like you saw the map on the Eastern DSC. So we want to make kind of a heat map of this information. Okay, where we can see problems, where are less problems. So on the two parts, it's better for the importer, for the investors to know where are the problems, and also better for the state because they don't have the financial assets to send everywhere the control, so they can gradually look where are the biggest problems and where we should send people to.
Yeah, I think your biggest competitor will be the circular economy, because one of the things that is going very big in at least in the developing world is you're trying to recycle a lot of things. So you don't need small mines, or at least small mines we don't need to actually come online. And then you're also in that part of the world which is actually I mean difficult to access. So what is your opinion about this? That's my opinion, but what's your opinion?
Yeah, first of all, there is not that much commodities for recycling in the EV section, for example, of cobalt. So first of all, we have to go through this process, and the circular economy is going in a way that it's circular at all. And the second problem of circular economy is really that right now, which is happening in the gold market, is that recycled commodities are not bound to the law. So you could smuggle every commodity through the recycling process in the end, and therefore we are working already on like product passports for batteries and so on. So this is my point of view.
But that is only true for, I mean, just a follow-up. Is that is only true for noble metals and others, but for general cross metals like iron or copper, those are easily recyclable, and it's happening quite easily and very cheaply.
Easily, please can you repeat?
For metals like copper, iron, those are recycled in bulk quantities and at very low cost. So what you're saying is what I think is only applicable for noble metals like iridium.
Yeah, we are working on mainly on critical minerals because therefore you have no market. So everything is happening OTC right now, like cobalt, tantalum, and so on. It's not like you can trade it directly on exchanges. It's not just for hedging. So we need to implement spot markets, and this is what we can establish here.
Yeah, one of the most important things in the blockchain space is about counterparty risk. As I understand you right, I would, as a customer, buy an NFT that guarantees me a right that somebody mines in the future a little bit of copper somewhere in the Republic of Congo, for example. And yeah, what is this is a small to medium-sized company. What are my guarantees about the NFT?
This would be just one product, what you are mentioning. So what we are looking for is that we will bring the mines on our side for the treasury to bring the input also. And what we try as first NFT to build up is kind of NFT ETF for commodities. And these commodities are already mined. So we have like a vault where you have kind of all the commodities there, and then people can come and lend these commodities like a token, and then they can build financial products like ETFs on several percentages, and then resell them or distribute them again, and then you can access this market, not directly into the mines. This would be also a product, but they're different ones. But yeah, you would have the risk, for sure.
This sounds a little bit like a normal ETF on top with more shenanigans in the financial space. So
the thing is,
and that cliffhanger can be answered in the break, because before we close the voting, we're going to have something to eat, a bit to drink, and of course, maybe you want to discuss with colleagues what was the best pitches. So no worries, no rush. There will be time. The founders are around, so you can ask them privately on the Ferraris also later. So without further ado, our next startup is Idonic. Great hand for Idonic.
Yeah, good evening, everyone. My name is Severios. I'm the founder and CEO of Idonic, a Swiss-based social impact fintech focusing on Web3-powered digital solutions for the humanitarian aid space, helping NGOs to become more efficient and more transparent in delivering humanitarian assistance. So let me introduce you to Mary. Mary is a donor based in Switzerland. She consumes the news day by day from Ukraine, and she really wants to make a change. She's not a big wealthy person, but she has her €100 that she want to deliver to a family and help her and impact them with humanitarian assistance. But she's hesitant. She's concerned whether her €100 really reaches people in need. So she comes across Idonic. Idonic uses NFT to tokenize donations and then send them as digital vouchers or cash, digital cash directly to the final recipients, the families, the people in need, where they can use the QR code as a digital voucher to pay for food, for healthcare, for medicine. With Idonic, we are basically helping NGOs to streamline the donation flow in real time and allow donors to track and trace their funds. In Tanzania, we distributed tokenized school meals to a rural school to help donors to track the impact. In Venezuela and in Trinidad and Tobago, we helped Venezuelan refugees with an organization that delivered digital food vouchers to them that were hosted in Trinidad and Tobago. In Ukraine, we helped MEDER, a Swiss NGO, to distribute tokenized hygiene kits, while donors could trace and track their funds in real time. Just recently, we started cooperation with an NGO in Poland, help them to distribute cash assistance to refugees from Ukraine that are hosted in Poland, where they can use the cash to pay for their expenses, to use it for redeeming them for food, healthcare, and all their needs based on their own choices. Well, Mary is happy because she's fascinated. For the first time, she can really track her funds and see that her money is really getting to the right people in the right hands. And she tells her friends about it. So with Idonic and with greater transparency, a recent study claimed that 53% more donations can be sourced by NGOs if transparency is established. Well, there are more than 10 million nonprofits, charities around the world that try to do good, but they're lacking digital tools. Only 12% have the means, the funds, and the expertise to use technology for greater impact. With Idonic, we digitize more than just transparency. We help them to become more efficient by replacing their Excel spreadsheets with a multi-feature SaaS platform. They can use that to collect beneficiary data, understand the data, and report about the program data and the outcome to their large international donors, such as governments, foundations, and so on. Last but not least, we equip the platform with an open API that can be simply integrated with any financial service provider for NGOs that don't want to distribute food parcels, but they want to distribute cash in a simple, efficient way. With Idonic, they can streamline that and issue cash assistance to people all around the world that are in need. Just recently, we concluded a partnership with our first corporate client, the Swiss bank PostFinance. They white label our charity solution and integrate it into their banking application and banking website to basically allow banking clients to donate and track their aid in real time. It's our second part of customers. We have the NGOs that use our technology to deliver aid and corporates that want to create greater impact from their user and client base. We are a social enterprise. To sustain our business, we charge up to 3% transaction fee based on the volumes that are processed through the platform. This way, we can also reinvest in the company and develop more sustainable and digital innovations and solutions for the humanitarian aid space and development space. Last year was our first operational year. We onboarded 6 main clients with a total aid budget of 9.7 billion. We processed 500,000 Swiss francs so far through the platform, and we're looking to accelerate. The market is huge, or the sector. There are 686 billion last year contributed in donations to various organizations around the world. And the market is just growing due to the climate change, crises, wars, and conflicts. So a great need and great potential in the same time. We bring all the features and functionalities under one roof. This is our USP, besides the end-to-end blockchain-powered tracing solution that we developed. Many actors in the space are focusing and specializing in one of the features and components. Our advantage is that we combined everything into one platform to make use of the valuable data that we can report back and help NGOs to report back. I spent the last 10 years in the Middle East and Africa with my Swiss NGO, delivered more than 400 humanitarian programs, and basically discovered these huge gaps of innovation and technology in the charity space. This is how and why we basically started. I built a team 3 years ago with like-minded people. We have all one thing in common. We are all really passionate about using technology for good, empowering people in need by bringing transparency and efficiency to the space, especially digital and financial inclusion for those people that were less lucky than we are, of course. Roberto Ferrer with the blockchain certificates helps us to develop these complex solutions for a complex environment. Our other co-founder, Joel Kaiser, is a former humanitarian. He spent many years with the UN and Red Cross in various regions and conflict areas, and help us in the business development area. We are nationally and internationally recognized and validated by various experts, and we are currently raising capital for our early Series A round, and keep growing, and hopefully we can all help each other. And thank you so much for your attention, for this opportunity.
So one of your main advantages is the fact that you do this end-to-end process, but how do you ensure that last mile aid delivery, that it actually goes to food? Like, do you also provide the sales point app for that process?
Exactly. So we basically, if we tokenize the vouchers, the digital vouchers, we onboard, we give a tool to the NGOs to onboard their ecosystem. And charities have, for example, their partners in the field that can be supermarkets, schools, hospitals. So they get very simply onboarded onto the same platform and become part of the ecosystem, where they can, with a simple mobile scanning feature, scan the QR code and initiate the payment in the last mile, which is in the real time reported to the donor and to the NGO.
My question was exactly the same. Thank you.
I don't fully understand the whole payment mechanism. So you put donations into an NFT, transfer the NFT, and the person who owns the NFT has access to those donations?
Yes, so when the donation process happens via credit card or any traditional fiat payment gateway, we basically digitize the donation into an NFT. So we create an NFT with a QR code with metadata that explains what is the amount of that particular donation. And that gets pooled into a fund. And the NGO has a dashboard where they can allocate the pooled funds, respectively the digital NFTs, and distribute them to pre-allocated beneficiaries. So they also onboard beneficiaries. The beneficiaries hold a custodial wallet and they get them distributed. NGOs can also, in an offline use case, print the tokenized QR codes and hand them over and brief them where they can redeem them. So it's all basically fully digitized and streamlined through this metadata that the NFT collects from stakeholder to stakeholder.
Why do I need an NFT? Why can't I just take a smart contract to put those donations in, and when it's filled, the necessary money, I can transfer it? And why are NFTs actually needed?
And do I put crypto donations into the NFT or fiat donations?
The crypto gateway is also possible, so that doesn't matter. So you can donate via crypto, you can donate via fiat money. The advantage we had, this is our second model. The first model was basically tokenizing the funds. This way we tokenize the donation and we allow through transferring the NFT to collect the metadata. This is a big advantage because through NFT transfers from wallet to wallet and stakeholder to stakeholder, we can report the metadata as a tracking data. And the good thing is, one day the NFT returns to the donor as an impact proof of donation, which they can use for tax purposes to report about the impact that they created. So there is a further use that we're going to develop over time as a secondary use case for donations.
And couldn't you achieve that by just settling in USDC? Because you also have a blockchain thing, and it sounds like an extra step that's not really needed. But your companies need it. I know the space, but why don't you just settle on USDC?
USDC is good in a use case where you can off-ramp the stable coins into local money for the people to use local money. But this is in most of the areas that we operate in, it's not possible. Cryptocurrencies are regulated, and not in all countries you can off-ramp digital currencies into local fiat money. So this is a non-crypto use case for tracking purposes.
Yeah, I got you. But the shop at the end, for example, in Africa somewhere, he's very happy to receive USDC and not his local currency.
Yes, this is considered with the open API. So we can connect it. We can connect it to banks. We can also connect it to off-ramping solutions. So the open API can be basically for cashing out digital currencies, and that can be USDCs. That can be also a tokenized asset that can be exchanged into a food parcel, into an operation, into schools. So it's very flexible to use it. And not all NGOs operate just in a cash society. Some of them provide educational services. Some of them provide operations. So we needed to create, or it was our purpose and goal to create a flexible tokenization model that can be end-to-end tracked.
Yes, but at the end of the chain, there is something of value created, like someone's getting a meal or education. And yeah, the dollar is the dominant currency in the world. And USDC is not really a cryptocurrency, it's fiat money, nothing else on blockchain. So yeah, wouldn't it be better to do the last settlement or the last mile in USDC? So
exactly. If you cash out, if you want to cash out $1, then you can use any settlements. You can also go. We have an integration with Western Union. You can also go with the token, exchange it, and cash out at Western Union in case he doesn't have access to an exchange or to any other jurisdiction. And in some of the jurisdictions, cryptocurrency such as USDC is even illegal. So you really need to adjust to the different jurisdictions.
Yeah,
that's why you need the flexibility, and that's why the complex environment we operate in needs multiple solutions and approaches.
Yeah.
Yes, we get one last question. Yes.
You mentioned it's 3.5% of fees. If I'm the donor, how many fees are down the road also lost? Are there some other fees, some other players, and how does it compare to the, let's say, current practice?
So usually when our clients white label the technology and integrate it, they have the option to navigate their own overhead fees from 0 to 10%. But most important is that is reported publicly to the donors. So whether the NGO also takes 5% or 6% for their overhead and also reports about the use of the overhead, that's all publicly visible in the NFT metadata. That means you have an interface, an account where you can access all your donations and see their tracking level and the breakdown of the fees and of the overhead that is being charged.
All right, that was the celebration. Thank you, Dominic. And now, ladies and gentlemen, we have the fourth and last pitch for you tonight. It's Transfer Chain. Give it up for Transfer Chain.
year, data breaches caused $6 trillion in damage. Businesses desperately need a solution to protect themselves against these attacks. I'm Matt, the co-founder of TransferChain, and we have the solution. Today, a single data breach costs $4.5 million per company, and within the last 3 years, more than 90% of the businesses faced cyber attacks. These are only some of the firms that have data breaches over the recent years, and I bet you can see some of those ones that you use in your daily life as well. So the danger is very obvious in our sector. But the cloud market is also very inefficient because companies are spending 3 times of what they're spending on the cloud storage to secure their cloud itself. Inevitably, that still fails, thus the damages. In order to solve this lack of security and privacy in our sector, we built TransferChain, and we make the cloud private. So you can forget the data breaches, you can forget the privacy breaches, and welcome the world's most secure and private cloud storage, file transfer, and messaging platform. Imagine Dropbox, but for Web3. So it's a cross-platform app. You can use it on your desktop, you could use it on your mobile phones, you could use it on your web platform. And you can do all of these transactions privately and securely. We also have specific solutions for businesses where they can also take their daily, hourly, monthly SQL backups as well. So the process is limitless. And it's not just about having 2 products, is it? We built an ecosystem, a protocol, that any application that is built on our protocol also becomes 100% private and secure. Obviously, with more and more data created every day, the cloud market holds a great potential for us to penetrate and solve these major problems. But when it comes to competition, well, obviously, none of the traditional players like Dropbox, WeTransfer are secure or private enough because they're all centralized solutions where they have the keys for your data and they keep them from you. And when it comes to the competition space in the blockchain space, well, none of those solutions are business friendly, business suitable, because they are very slow and at the same time they're peer-to-peer based. So your data, your company data gets split and distributed to random people's computers, which is usually a red flag for corporates. But we make the cloud private and secure while keeping it fast. And we do this by, well, unlike any traditional cloud that you're going to use today, where they have your keys and a centralized solution, we anchor everything on client side with your key. And before it gets start uploading to our distributed cloud, we split your file into multiple little chunks. All these chunks then get distributed to the world's safest cloud providers like G-Cloud, Azure, DigitalOcean, you name it, because the protocol itself is provider agnostic, but also we put all the metadata on the blockchain, so no one but yourself can access that data. There are tons of different use cases for TransferChain. Legal teams could be using TransferChain to exchange confidential files with external parties, or IoT teams could be storing their blueprints on TransferChain. We're currently building POCs for Generali, where they will get data from their customers, or different protocols integrated to bigger exchanges or other services. We currently protect 40 different businesses' data today, and they're just ever growing, and they're coming from 6 different countries and 10 different industries. We're a SaaS product, so we're very price friendly. Usually businesses assume they're going to see a huge check, a huge invoice, but that is not accurate. It's actually very price friendly and very much similar to any traditional cloud pricing that you will find today. We have an amazing team of 28 that has been building TransferChain for the past 3 or 4 years now. And we finally went public very much soon. And we all hold great domains of expertise from multiple different verticals, including sales and marketing, blockchain, and software development. Today, we're looking to close last bit of our pre-Series A round of $1.5 million, of which $1 million has already been signed from a UK and a Swiss-based VCs. We'll be using these funds to further accelerate our growth in Switzerland, Germany, and Netherlands. If you're looking into participating in this round, or if you're looking to protect your companies or your personal data, please don't hesitate to reach out to us. We're more than happy to talk about your privacy. Thank you.
Usual suspects. All right, let's go.
Can you talk a little bit about the cryptographic solution that you're using?
In what sense?
Yeah, what kind of algorithm do you use?
Of course.
Thank you.
So on the cryptography side, obviously we do client-side encryption and also REST and transit encryption as well. We usually use public cryptography, AES, we use SHA-512 as well. Different ones in the blockchain, different ones on the client, on the transit. So it's very much in depth and technical. We also have public documentations regarding what we use in which parts. We're also patent pending, so hopefully within 7 months from now, all of that information will be open source and public as well. So I hope that answers your question. Regarding the blockchain, if you're also curious about that, maybe I can go into that as well. But
it's okay. Just another question. Maybe you know IPFS?
Of course.
Yeah. What's your, how do you differentiate between this? Also, what are you doing different in them?
Usually, it kind of goes back to probably you also know companies like Filecoin or SIA or Storage. All of these companies are doing peer-to-peer networks. So they take their data and distribute it around people's computers. It's very much like torrents back in the olden day.
Yeah, but with cryptographic, with this, so it's not really
Yeah, you're right. You're right. Filecoin doesn't use encryption, but CI and Storage does. But it's not just about encrypting the data. At the end of the day, their services also become really slow when it comes to file access latency, because you then divide your file to maybe 100 or 200 people's computers. And when you do that, you bring a lot of variables into the math, meaning is Mark's computer open or turned off? Is his internet speed fast or slow? Is he further, like, is he living in the States or in Europe? So there are a lot of variables that go into it. So that's why their file access latency is pretty bad. And we solve that by integrating the cloud providers, the fastest and the most secure ones in the world. But since it's provider agnostic, our protocol, we could also technically connect to any IPFS solution as well.
Okay. And my data will not always be just on AWS, so you distribute it around all the big.
Yeah, so let's say you had a nice full family picture, but no one knows this, obviously because you're using transfer chain. And when it's encrypted and split, let's say Google gets it, each one quarter gets it. So bad actor needs to go through them, or hack all of them technically to get your data. And of course, you have the keys, they need to hack you. And then in order to find the correct order of those little chunks, they kind of have to hack the blockchain as well. So to our knowledge, this is the world's most secure and private cloud ever.
It's also with redundancy.
Obviously, yeah.
I would assume that the main reason for cloud breaches is not AWS or Google being breached, but the customer being breached that stores the client keys. But is it the same risk in your process now? The customer gets breached?
That is correct. Our biggest risk factor in this case will be the customer, the human error. So if you somehow lose your keys, if you somehow have your laptop stolen and somehow didn't block your computer, that's a big problem, obviously. But then again, if you keep your keys properly, as if you're using any crypto wallet today, no one can literally touch your data. So it's a give and take between convenience and security and privacy. But of course, we're thinking about different developments to further make this stage of the process more convenient as well, like multi-signatures or using other secure sources where you can land your keys, so you don't necessarily personally have to always protect it.
But at the moment, where's then the difference to securing my data at AWS, and if I lose my client keys, the database will be breached in both cases.
I don't get that.
So normally, if a cloud breach appears, it's not AWS being hacked. It's the customer being hacked, and the hacker gets the client keys for the cloud storage. But this risk applies to both processes. That's what I hear.
Well, in our case, if for instance AWS was hacked.
So you're assuming a breach at the cloud service provider.
Yeah, and even if your client side is hacked, you obviously have multi-factor authentications and everything. So even if someone gets your keys, if you have MFA turned on, that's again another huge wall that they will bump into.
How do you decrypt something that was encrypted on another device? So you said it's another device, you decrypt something on your phone, and you will encrypt it, encrypt on the device, decrypt on the web.
Yes. So it depends. If you're sending a file transfer to me, for instance, that is asymmetrically encrypted, both with your and my key, and we don't, as transferring, hold any user keys or user management. All of that is done on the blockchain. So when that transaction happens, my keys are in the system as well. So I then get decrypted that transaction and get to receive the data myself. But with your question in regards to multiple devices on my own account, in each device that you're using, when you first log in for the first time, you also have to restore your account. Meaning you have to use your mnemonic phrases to get all of your data back and create that connection.
As you most certainly know, 2 months ago, Dropbox bought Boxcryptor for zero-knowledge file encryption. Is that one of the bigger competition risks you see?
We love those acquisitions because that's potentially an exit scenario for us. But at the end of the day, that's like Dropbox was good back 10 years ago. Then it's still server-side encryption. These players came out, does end-to-end encryption, which is good, but they're still lacking the decentralization of distribution or integration of blockchain. So there are companies like Trezor as well in Switzerland that does end-to-end encryption, but that is still not the real solution here. We need to take a step further. But thank you.
Pencil chain. Now, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to take a little break to deliberate, to think about, maybe even discuss with colleagues, random strangers, friends, what we've seen so far, because you decide what was the best pitch tonight. So how to do that? Well, let me see if I can get the correct QR on the screen. You can either scan the QR, or you can go to startplatz.de/voting. For those of you more like a keyboard inclined, go to startplatz.de/voting, or just scan the QR, and there should be a rating form for you to score the pitches. Also, we have in the back, we have something to nibble, we have some chow, we have food, we have drinks, and I would say in about 35 minutes or plus minus, we're going to gather in front of the stage again, and we're going to announce the winners. So see you in about half an hour plus. announce who you have chosen as best pitch for the 112th Web3 edition of the Rheinland Pitch. All right, are you ready? Large drum roll. Well, you know, we start always traditionally with fourth place. And tonight, fourth place goes to Iota Origin. Please come to the stage. We have something for you.
Where's Iota?
You just heard his name and he's coming to the stage. Because we need to give you the traditional diploma. And we, of course, need to smile to the camera. Give it up for Iota Origin. And number 3 is Rudy Capital. Big applause for Rudy Capital. And of course, now we only have 2 contenders left, and I'm going to indirectly reveal the first place, but let's give it up for second first, which is Idiotic. And of course, it's clear that the winner is of the Web3 Edition 112th Rheinland Pitch is, of course, Transfer Chain. All right, give it up for the winner, Transfer Chain. And can I ask all the participants please to come to the stage? Let's have a group photo as well. All the startups participating. All the startups. If you're part of the startup, please join. That's fine.
Yeah.
Thank you very much. Give it up for all the participants. Strong starters all around. Great pictures all around. And now, ladies and gentlemen, of course, I have rudely interrupted your great conversations. And feel free to stay. The official event, the official Rheinland Pitch 112th Web3 Edition is now closed. It's come to an end, but this venue is not closed. Please do stay around, have another drink, talk. Please stay if you want to. And Lawrence, any final words before we say thank you and good night? Not from you. Well, for me, it's only left to say that after the Rheinland Pitch is like before the Rheinland Pitch. Of course, we are going to keep up in the next month and keep tuned at startplatz.de or rheinlandpitch.de for the next edition, the next event in February. Hope to see you there and have some great conversations. Have a drink on me, and I hope to see you at the next event. Have a good evening.